Hi everybody, I'm Sandy.
And I'm Debbie. We're from the Normal Paranormal Group. Back again with more ghost stories. Yes, but we're going to tell you stories with children. Yes, children are very open to the paranormal world. They're susceptible to it, actually. So when your child comes up to you, listen. Don't say it's your imagination. Don't say you're dreaming. Just listen. Even have them draw a picture. You know, I'm not saying to encourage a child, but don't dismiss them neither. So, in saying that, I've had my children come up to me. I had the 3 children, and at the time, and we were living in this apartment, and all 3 of them come running up to me. Mom, there's a man in the front room. I said, a man? And they said, yeah. And I said, stay here, don't move. And I grabbed a baseball bat, and I went into towards the front room, looking in the rooms, checked the windows, they were locked, checked the door, it was locked. And I looked in the bedrooms and made sure he didn't go into any of the bedrooms. And I couldn't find anyone. And so I said, where was he at? What did he look like? And they said he was an old man with white hair. And he was standing by the door. He was that tall. And not to have only one kid see this, but 3 children at the same time seeing the same man. And so they walk in the front room with me. I said, where was he? And they said, there. And there he is. I said, where? He's standing right there, Mom. Don't you see him? And my 3 children could see this man, but I couldn't see him. And they described him. I said, what's he doing? He's just standing there looking at you. And so I said, okay. I said, whoever you are, you're scaring my children, and I want you to leave. I want you to go upstairs, go next door, do whatever you have to, but don't bother my kids, don't scare my kids. And I said, what's he doing? They said he's turning around and he's going upstairs. And this correlates with my sister who lived upstairs, with the footprints going up to the
attic.
She's seen it herself, you know. And I had other experiences with the children. My daughter, they were playing tag or whatever, and my daughter was in the side hall, and she said she's seen a pair of shoes materialize in front of her, and pair of legs, only half a person. And she got up and screamed and come running to get me. And I went in there, and there was no man there. And I said, leave my children alone. And my children and I said a prayer of protection, of course. And
again, don't forget, we're big on protection, about prayers and all of that stuff.
Even with your children, you have to protect your children.
Just remember, because you can't see them doesn't mean that other people can. If they're telling you there's somebody there, there is actually someone there. Don't dismiss them and saying you're dreaming, you're making it up, you just want attention. You know, a lot of people make excuses why that person is seeing something. In reality, you're dismissing what they're telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're making them feel like there's something wrong with me. Don't do that to them.
Don't
listen to them.
Because that happened to us growing up. That's all we ever heard from our mother. It's your imagination. It's a dream.
Dreaming.
You seen your grandfather walking to work or whatever. You know, you seen. But they would never tell us because they didn't know how to deal with that at the time. But because I went through that experience, I learned to talk to my children if they came to me about something. And it was in the middle of the night, my daughter came to me and she goes, Mom, there's something in my room. Well, we made my husband's tool room into a bedroom for my daughter, and she laid in there. And so I got up and I checked the bedroom, and it was warm out. It was summer, actually. And so I went in there, and we had this little angel thing hanging from the ceiling like a chandelier, and it kept on spinning, and I was watching it. And then on the enclosed side of the room, there's no window, no nothing. She had her dresser and clothes, and all of a sudden this breeze came out of nowhere, and it started blowing. I'm kidding you not, and the room dropped temperature. That's a big sign
when someone's there in the room with you.
Especially when you got a breeze coming out of nowhere, it's blowing your hair. So I says, come on, we're going to say a prayer. And we said a prayer. And again, I said, leave my children alone. They're not ready for you. They don't understand you. You're just scaring them. So we want you to leave. And so the room got quiet and warm, but she still refused to stay in the bedroom. So then I switched the rooms with my son to sleep in there. Okay. My daughter, she being so young, probably was more empathic, you know. And so after a while, my son refused to sleep in there, that there was somebody there. And all I could think of, something happened there. It used to be a storefront, and it was remodeled into an apartment. So these houses, I think, were a curse on them or bad luck on them. But they were inhabited by spirits. It was a rough neighborhood, and a lot of things happened in this neighborhood. And so, you know, we experience things as children ourselves.
Right. I mean, there's things that we see and we can't explain. And like I says, even in the darkness, when we talk about dark in the darkness, black in the darkness, that is an entity of some form that's there that we can't explain. We
don't even consider it a spirit.
No. It's an entity.
It's an entity.
Right. So yes, we do see things. Yes, our biggest fear is like closets. Oh, there's something in the closet, or someone's underneath the bed. You know, you could justify for that because, you know, closets are scary places, and under the bed is also a scary place.
It's almost like closets are portals.
Yeah, I really think they are sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even to this day, that I don't like my closet door.
Right. You have to have it closed or something.
Yeah, I have to have it closed. Can't have it open.
That probably comes from our childhood.
I think that it stems from our childhood.
Yeah. But, like I said, you have children. Listen. Please don't dismiss them.
My kids even used to tell me stories when I was sitting on the bottom of the stair with them, and one time they'll tell me I was floating in a green mist on top of the stairs. And I didn't dismiss it. I listened to them. A green mist you were floating through? You didn't fall, you were just floating through it. And then one time they told me about the people that lived underneath the stairs, and they were serious about it. Both my kids were talking about it, and I tend to agree with them that there's something there that maybe I can't see. They see it. I sat there and I listened to everything they had to say. So listen to your children.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I don't know if it's genetics plays a big role in this, or we're just naturally born with this ability. Everyone has it, but some know how to get in tune with their psychic selves, and some dismiss everything and find an excuse for everything. And try not to be one of those parents that try to find an excuse for everything. Just listen.
Listen.
That's all you have to do. Listen.
In fact, I'm a big advocate too, is like, make a log. Because activity acts up certain time of the month, certain time of a day. And if you keep a log, you could go back and say, oh yeah, last year at this time, this happened. Or last year at this time, we did have this activity going.
Yep.
It picked up more at this time.
Yep, and this house, after we moved from the city, we moved to the burbs, and this house, same age as me, 65. All right, so when we first moved in here, my son kept on telling me, "There's something here. Something hit me in the head." I says, "Are you sure you didn't sit up and the fan hit you in the head? You know, the ceiling fan, because they had bunk beds." No, no, no. And I think I was oblivious to everything at first because everything was new and scary for me as well. And so they told me this, and then their friends spent the night, and they said the door opened by itself, and then they heard actual footsteps walking through the bedroom towards the closet. And they all watched, and there was nothing there. Yes, I've had doors open. I've had doors shut.
She had her cabinet door open even.
Yep.
You know, I wish we could have had that on film.
Yep, and my chandelier. I was doing clothes one day, and I walked into the kitchen, and there's my chandelier swinging back and forth. And did I think? No. I didn't have a camera with me or whatever. So my twin and I started buying ghost equipment. And my very first digital camera, I was showing my son it. I was stood in the middle of the hall, and I said, "This is how it works. You press play, record, and so then I press stop, and then I press it, and this is how you play it back." And the first words we heard was "my house, Kemper," and we both looked at each other. And I said, go get the neighbor. I said, find out who lived in this house, who was the owner of this house. Because he said, "my house, Kemper," and he was adamant on it. And so the neighbor come over, and I played it for her, and she was shocked. I said, "Who was the man?" Before I played it for her, "Who was the man that owned this house?" And she said, "Oh, Mr. Kemper owned this house." And so I played it for her, and her mouth dropped open. And we think the land itself around here is haunted because she has activities in her house, and the neighbor after her has activity. And across the street from us, oh my goodness, a lot of bad stuff on the other side of the street, way back in the 50s and that, where people died in their garages or on the sidewalk or whatever. So I'm glad we didn't buy a house across the street.
Yes, but like we said, it's not necessarily the house as much as the land could be haunted.
Yes, exactly.
What was this called at one time before it was houses here? It was
a marsh.
Some kind of marsh, but it was
they
Black Oaks.
Oh yeah. It used to be called Black Oak Grove or something.
Something like that.
And this part was known as Horse Thief Hollow.
Yeah, so it's the land in most cases, and people don't know it.
Yeah, this is where a lot of the criminals who stole horses and stuff would come over to this section.
Right, so it's not necessarily your house. It could be the land. You don't know what your house was built on at the time.
Right.
I mean, where I used to work, when we see residual hauntings, you know, and I'd be sitting at my desk, and at a certain time I see someone walk by, and I know that there's no outlet that way. There's no door, and that person would be walking by at a certain time every day. And to know that people didn't know this, a lot of those places along this like river that it used to be before this, it was a graveyard, cemeteries. So that doesn't mean that they dug up everybody and placed them somewhere else. The buildings were buried on top of these cemeteries, and they don't even know it.
And who was killed on this land? I mean, if it was all a bunch of thieves and criminals, you know there had to have been death here.
Yes.
You know, and going out to the garage one day, our first year here, it was like August was the hot spot for paranormal activity here. And I went out to the garage and emptied the helium tanks. They had to take the plugs off to recycle them. And I felt someone staring at me. And I turned around, and there was an old man standing there. I could see him in his full corporeal self, full form, solid. And he had white hair, sort of balding on top. He had suspenders, a grayish white type of khaki pants or whatever they were called.
I just recently seen him myself when I was telling Debbie I was out in her yard, and all of a sudden I had this eerie feeling like somebody was looking at me, and I looked towards the window. I swear I seen a man standing there with a plaid shirt on. And, you know, I didn't see the face, but I seen the shirt and him just standing there looking. I went, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not scared. We just know, okay, we're gonna leave you alone. Just leave us alone.
Yep. And then I was in the basement doing laundry that one day, and right next to the washer, I heard a man say, "Hey." And I looked. I said, "Okay, I heard you. Now you tell me what you want." No response. So my son and daughter-in-law came for a visit. She was tired. She lay down on the couch downstairs in the basement, and my son went out with his brothers to the store. And she was laying there, and someone hovered over her and said, "Hey." And she was looking for her husband, looking for anybody. And she comes upstairs. She goes, "Debbie, someone said hey to me, and there's no one down there." I said, "Oh, I heard that earlier too." So there's different eyewitnesses that encountered stuff here.
Right. You may hear them. They may make a noise.
Yeah, and
your animals will even react to it.
Yes, I've had dogs freeze in one spot and
just stare.
And bark and not move, you know.
And like they're watching something, and you're watching them. Like, what do you see?
Yeah, what do you see? And my grandchildren even seen things, especially in this room. This is my haunted room that I made out of my computer room.
That's why the ghost behind me is a sensor ghost, by the way.
Yes.
It goes off by itself if something's by it. So
right.
If you hear that go moo, that's the sensor ghost.
Yep, it is. And I've had things happen in here. My children refuse to sleep in this room. So.
What a better room to make a paranormal room out of.
Right. So.
But if you have any more stories, or tell us stories that you encountered.
Especially with your children and your grandchildren.
That's right.
Listen to these kids. I mean, my son even seen a ghost in his school. My grandson seen a ghost in the school. He said the boy was dirty looking. He was raggedy. He had old clothes on, and he disappeared in front of him.
Take pictures.
And I
listened
to him.
Write it down.
I didn't say it's in your imagination.
That's right.
I said, when this happened, and what did he look like? Did he say anything? Usually they don't say nothing because, why? They're a spirit form. They don't have no vocal cords or nothing like that.
That's right. Let's remember.
So
I'm a big advocator. Keep a ghost log. Write down your experiences. The time, the day, what happened.
Even the weather.
The weather. Everything is a factor. You write it down. It's cold, it's rainy. You know that it's going to be more susceptible of bringing more activity.
Yes, especially around the full moon, the new moon.
That's right.
The planets play a big factor in everything as well. And the weather is a biggest factor, especially electrical storms. That's where the veil is really the thinnest. And you can communicate with your loved ones. You don't have to be afraid. You could tell them to leave. You can make a deal with them. You know, we'll share the house. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. You know, it works out in the end. But you got to learn not to be afraid. And again, we both tell you, don't listen to these ghost stories that they have on TV. They might be true ghost stories, but they embellish them for entertainment purposes.
Hi, Randy. Hi, Carmen. I want to thank all you that are on here watching us. Laura, we want to thank you for being a part, listen to our stories. These are true stories. They're not made up. That's our motto. Real people with real
stories.
Paranormal stories.
Paranormal stories, yeah.
These are real stories. These are not made up. They're not to scare you. These are to help us to get through and say, hey, we did experience it. Yes, I did experience it. Even though someone don't believe you, we believe you. This group believes you.
We try to keep an open mind.
That's right.
You know, yeah, there's some things you question.
That's always.
But, you know, we try to keep an open mind because we didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right. No one's going to make fun of you, or we don't allow bullying, we don't allow swearing, we don't allow politics, we don't allow sexual content. We want you to tell your story and feel relaxed and safe. And this is a place that you could enjoy and actually share what you experienced and feel free. You know how many people felt really good that they posted their stories and people agree and said, yeah, I did go through that. That did happen to me.
Yep.
And that it was real. So once again, Debbie and I want to thank you.
Yes, we do.
And we wanted to say until we meet again with real ghost stories.
And have a safe weekend.
And a happy Halloween.
And a happy Halloween.
Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.